Welcome to Digital Checks for Understanding. Today we're going to be talking about how we can use rigor with checks for understanding so we can appropriately adjust our rigor amounts and then we can also give more rigorous assessments. So this is for our rigor PDU, Digital Checks for Understanding. Just as I said, we're going to be talking about appropriate rigorous amounts and more rigorous checks for understanding in this first video lesson. Then we're going to get into 4 actual tools as to how to achieve that idea. First is going to be the substitution level of our SAMR model, and that is using Schoology assessments. Then we're going to get to modification with Kahoot and quizzes. I'm going to give you guys the option to do quizzes, as a lot of you already know Kahoot or seen Kahoot. Then we're going to get into augmentation using Schoology assessments. So this is going to be the higher level, the more rigorous, challenging ideas in assessments. And then last one, we're going to do a big redefinition using Flipgrid. And I think you guys are really going to love that Flipgrid. It'll be challenging, but I think you guys are up for it. It'll be rigorous for you, which will be great. So what exactly is a digital check for understanding? It is basically a quick check-in for an assessment to judge the appropriate rigor amount in your classroom. So if I give a do now, that could be a very easy CFU, or I can do a check-in in the middle of the lesson. I can say it's 5 questions. If they get 3 of the 5 questions right, then I know I just need to focus on the other 2. If they get them all right, hey, let's move faster. If they only get 1 out of the 4 right on average, then we need to take some time and we need to do a reteach. But it's about using information so that I can do then instant DDI. So we have a lot of assessments, right? We have our data team meetings and stuff, but those are not like checks for understanding in the middle of a lesson. We all do these all the time, right? Raise your hand if you get this, give me a fist of 5. But these are digital tools that give us more accurate feedback and can be more rigorous. A fist of 5 is great, but there are better ways to do it. So our checks for understanding, as you guys know, with other checks for understanding, is focused on learning goals. So what's your objective for today? What's your objective for the unit? What are your standards that you're really trying to get to? Okay, we need to know what their current work level is relating to the goal, right? Are they going to be able to get 3 of the 5 questions right on average? Or are they getting 0 of the 5 right on average? And then it helps us to move closer to the goal based off of that action. So we can speed up or slow down, increase the rigor level or decrease the rigor level based off of the feedback that we're getting. And doing this again in real time. You're adjusting your lesson today, this period, based off of your CFUs. Okay, so why are they beneficial for rigor specifically? It's that you're changing your lesson right now for student learning. Is that you're getting in there and you're saying, this class can do a Kahoot and they really are rocking this. My 7th period really knows how to do this. 7th period oftentimes can get a bad rap because it's the end of the day, but sometimes they can be absolutely awesome kids and you can move faster through the content with them. Maybe they get to do an extra activity once a week because they're moving so fast through the other lessons that you're moving much quicker with them. Or maybe they need some extra time, right? They're not very talkative. They're not getting the concepts. And that allows you to really slow down or speed up based off of that. You can get to know what students know right away. CFUs are awesome at the beginning of lessons for knowing background knowledge. How much do you know about quarks and quasars, right? You don't really know what your students know until you can ask them. How many of the continents can they name? Do they have a reference for where Africa is on a map, right? That can help you out. And we can look at how to use maps even in CFUs. Okay, and then you're monitoring your student by student as well. So we're talking about large groups, oftentimes with CFUs, and knowing, how do I do a reteach with this, or when do I speed up with mine? But also you can be looking at your subgroups with this, right? Is that, oh, my boys are getting this, or my girls are not, or hey, this group is getting it and this group is not. Whatever those groups are, boys, girls, whites, students of color, it doesn't really matter. And that you can get those specific real-time feedbacks. Or maybe it's just a handful of kids that you just need to do follow-ups, but the rest of the class is ready to move along. And then the students can get self-correcting. All of our CFUs today will give the students the correct answers at the end so that they can know what it is. So it's different than like a standard do now, where they maybe don't know the answer right away, or maybe there's a class discussion later on. The CFUs give them instant feedback. So say, oh, that's the problem I missed. And then they can correct it on their own. So it gives them student ownership. So we're going to get into our 4 examples. I just want to give you the takeaway before we get into these 4 lessons because there's 4 separate ones. These lessons are all independent of each other and they are up to you. So just like our buffet here of lovely Chinese food is what it looks like, you can choose which ones you want. So if you want to do the flip grid, that's really interesting to you, you want to go for the rigorous, real in-depth R level of SAMR, go ahead, do that one and only do that one. That's fine. Maybe you want to investigate how to do further levels of thinking when it comes to Google assessments that you've already mastered the substitution level of assessments. You want to go deeper. Awesome, choose that one. Maybe you want to watch 3 of the videos and then choose one that you want to do later on. Your takeaways today are up to you. This lesson is self-paced. So watch 1 or all of the next 4 videos and then remember that you have lesson plans to turn in that's implementing these different tools. So you can try one of these. You can try Flipgrid or Kahoot maybe for the first time. Make sure you're collecting the student work and your lesson plans, and that's going to be turned in on Schoology. On our Schoology page here, we have all of the lessons that are down here for you to turn in. So you say lesson plan 1 is my Flipgrid. I'm going to turn that lesson plan in, and then I'm going to give some student work samples from their Flipgrid. I'm going to give screenshots of a grid that my students made. Okay, or maybe you do a Google assessment, and then you have screenshots of the how many answers they got on it, correct or not for their student work. Okay, so choose any of the 4 that you want, and I'll be looking at your lesson plans. Thanks.